because it genuinely has been an insane week. You know? Yeah. No, I know. No, it's that part. I'm not gonna talk about it forever, but yeah. Oh, it's what you came for? Okay, good. Yeah, I'm glad you didn't want to hear about my life. No, okay. You know, Trump took office and he immediately signed a wild amount of executive orders. They've been one-upping each other every presidency for a little while. Like, I'm pretty sure Barack Obama signed more than Bush, and then Trump signed more than Obama, and then Biden signed more than Trump. But this was like astronomical. This was a whole lot, because basically Trump went ahead and signed executive orders that rolled back a lot of what Biden did, plus his own. All right. And he did some sweeping stuff. Like, he signed an executive order that began the steps for the U.S. to leave the World Health Organization. I did not do it. But what feels kind of wild to me about the executive orders that Trump is passing, and a lot of the things that we're going to see for the next few months into the rest of his presidency, is basically just a blueprint of everything that Project 2025 said that they were going to do. It's a project that he said he knew nothing about and had nothing to do with, but now that he's in office, they seem hella tight. It's kind of like when you tell the police you don't know somebody, and then the police are like, but here's a picture of you two right here. And the picture hella incriminating, because it's not you just happening to be in the picture with them, it's you being like, hey. You say that you're not boys, but in this picture here, you're holding a different picture of the two of you together. You're like... And sure enough, yeah, Trump signed an executive order that would start the process of the U.S. leaving the World Health Organization. And I feel like there are some things that Trump is doing because they're his idea, and some things that he's doing because his aides and the people that wrote up Project 2025 are pushing him to do it for whatever their own reasons are, right? Like, I feel like they went to Trump and they were like, we need you to pull out of the World Health Organization. Then Trump was like, who? And they were like, yes. And he was like, yes, what? And they were like, who? And he's like, who? And they were like, that's what we're saying. Who's who? And then he was like, I'll do what you want me to do, but I just need to know who it is. And it's like, who is who it is? That's who we want you to do it to. We have to pull out of who? Pull out? Who? Where? Yes, because we believe that who is dangerous. Who is dangerous? Yes, who is dangerous? Where is who? Well, sir, who's all over the world? Who is dangerous all over the world? Yes, that's why we have to pull out of who. I'm not in who, by the way. I'm just standing here. We're just gonna put it on a piece of paper and we need you to sign it, all right? And this is my main thing when it comes to pulling out of the World Health Organization, is that a lot of people take for granted things that are functioning in their life. Things are either good, you expect to be good, and things that are working, you're just like, yeah, it works because it's supposed to work, right? But sometimes we don't ask enough questions on how a working thing got to the way it was. And there hasn't been enough time in between when it didn't work, and now for us to remember when it didn't work. Because if we lose access to the World Health Organization, it hurts the World Health Organization by a lot, but it also hurts us. Because then we lose access to their labs, to their data. Most of what happens and the way that cures and vaccines come about quickly is because all these countries are able to share information, which all sort of help us leapfrog over the last breakthrough that another country had. And because it's not a race, it's just shared information. It's just a group project. And our pharmaceutical companies, by the way, also need the World Health Organization to just stay on top of things, right? And I'm no fan of pharmaceutical companies. I'm just saying I'm a fan of people who are sick getting help, right? And so my thing is, if you pull out of the World Health Organization, as good as the doctors that we have in the US are, or at least can be, it won't be long before we're all just sort of WebMD. You know, it won't be long before a new thing, take something like COVID, right? No matter what you believe about the origins of COVID, you understand that something started up in China. And then because of the World Health Organization, everyone was able to talk about it, do testing. They were able to share findings. We were able to get to a vaccine pretty quickly, right? So now, let's say something comes out of another country. And we may know it's coming out of the other country from the news, but we don't actually know any breakthroughs because we're not sharing that data. And everyone has to start all over again every time they try to have a breakthrough. So now you'll just be a regular person walking up to other people like, hey, I'm just asking, just in general, just because I'm curious, but is anybody else like farting blue? No, me neither. No. That's crazy. I don't even know why I said that. That's just like crazy, but like it can happen. You know, I've been hearing on the news that it can't happen, and there's people whose whole bathrooms look like a Smurf died. Like it's just, stuff can happen, you know? Just curious. Yeah. And then maybe someone does get sick, and then that sickness starts to spread. And maybe it's not something that we're used to. It's a completely new thing. So now you have somebody being like, hey, is anybody else that was like not born double jointed, been acting double jointed, like just everything can go in every which way? Because double joint people, they seem to not hurt when they do it, but I'm in a lot of pain. So if anyone has any ideas on what to do, I've been eating as much as I can to lower inflammation, but I'm still got my head spinning all the way around when I fall asleep. And then you won't be able to distinguish certain things because there are things that are not related, that we know through science are like not related even though they're similar, right? You'll be able to know if you have a new thing or if you have a regular version of an old thing. Just walking up to somebody like, hey, look, I'm not trying to get the word out like that. I'm just curious if you've ever heard of this. Do you sleepwalk? Oh, you sleepwalk too? Oh, great. Do you ever sleepwalk and just wake up with a knife every night? Like, does that, just me? Okay. We'll have to look into it. This dude also signed an executive order, the one they promised to, delaying the TikTok ban. But while he was talking about it, after he signed it, he was basically saying like, oh yeah, you know, the US should own some part of it, maybe 50%, maybe more, who knows. And it's hard to tell when Trump talks about what the government should do, if he means the government should own it or he should own it. Because I'm not gonna lie, this TikTok thing is the most mob boss thing I've ever seen. It's the most like, oh, you like your little thing, like, okay, maybe I own some of it. Maybe I own the whole thing. How about that? How about you get out of here? All right, it's mine now. One of the pettiest things that Trump did was he used an executive order to take back John Bolton's security detail. Now, I don't like John Bolton. I'm not like crying for John Bolton or anything. And if you know John Bolton, you'll know who I'm talking about. He looked like a Scooby-Doo villain. John Bolton got the mustache of somebody who has retired from tying women to train tracks, all right? This dude one of my favorite John Bolton memories was one time he was on, I think it had to be Fox News, he was on, and for some reason, they must have been trying to kill time or something, they put John Bolton, now he was old back then, so this is old, but he was still old when this happened. They put this old man on a hoverboard. And it was as great as you could imagine. They literally try and explain to him what to do on the hoverboard while he's on the hoverboard, which is the worst time to tell somebody how to operate a hoverboard. Don't let them get on and then be like, okay, now subtly. And so then this man, not knowing what to do, sort of moves his hips a little bit, and he just starts spinning. And you can go back and watch the clip. This man is screaming, ah, ah! But Trump took back his security detail, and it was just to be petty. It's just because he doesn't like John Bolton, and John Bolton doesn't like him, right? But it's one of the pettiest things I've seen from a government official, because all he's really doing, all Trump is really saying is like, hey, look, now that I'm back, I just want to make sure if you have any ops at all, that they have as little resistance as possible. Him pulling John Bolton's Secret Service detail is like if I uncalled 911 for somebody. Like they called 911 and I called right after, be like, hey, that last dude, he was just playing. Don't come. It's not a big deal. Don't come at all. I know he's like, oh, he has a knife or whatever, but don't come. He was just trolling. Even the executive order he signed renaming the Gulf of Mexico into the Gulf of America. This is one thing that has to stop. It has to stop immediately because we cannot make it this hard on these kids. I remember when I was a kid. I remember when I was a child in school and they told me that Pluto was not a planet, but it was, but it wasn't, but it was, but it wasn't, and it is, but it isn't. And I failed every test where they asked me what Pluto was. I was like, there was one time where it was a fill-in. You had to describe the plants and you had to talk about what gases and everything the plant was made of and why we couldn't live on that planet, why Earth was perfect to live on. And when we got to Pluto, I didn't know what to say anymore because it had been a planet and then it wasn't a planet and then it had been a planet and it even changed like astrological signs or something like that. And so I was like, you know what? It's up there. How about that? Changing the Gulf. And then you even had publications like The Guardian being like, we're still gonna call it the Gulf of Mexico, but we will call it Gulf of America for context in places where it seems fit, where the president is being quoted. I was like, it is or it isn't. No. Then you had Trump signing executive order, you had Trump pardoning everybody from January 6th. That's wild. You ever had somebody go to jail from your neighborhood? Maybe this is just too specific to me, but you ever had somebody go to jail from your neighborhood and you're like, I'm not a snitch, but thank God. Oh. There was this dude named LaDon, right? And I can say his name because he never gonna get out. But there was a dude I knew named LaDon, and I remember when he got locked up, I was like, oh no, don't. Like, you know what I mean? Because you wanna show that solidarity, but the police were taking him. I was like, oh, how dare you, 5-0. I can't stand 12. LaDon, no. Oh, but LaDon was wild. He's like a proper criminal. It's like, you know, because then his boys were wearing like free LaDon shirts, and I was just like, Anytime I saw one of them, I was like, oh no, I hope this doesn't have the support that I think it does. There was even one of his friends that wrote to the local, I think it was council person or something, trying to get him to look into it. And I'm not gonna lie, I low-key did like a John Bolton, and I also wrote to the local council. I was like, hey, he was just playing. LaDon need to be in there. Don't pay any attention to what he's saying. Like, he just kind of wilding right now. You know what it is? LaDon owe him $20, and he want the 20 back. He doesn't want him free. He should not be free. LaDon a bad person. LaDon was a bona fide monster. So now imagine LaDon go to jail. The hood is free. I've never, you've seen like homecoming parties for people when they get out of jail. I've never seen a party for somebody who just got arrested. Like, the people who felt like we finally had liberation were having a whole cookout off of this dude's charges. Just. And then his boys with the shirt came to the barbecue. I'm like, are you happy or not? But now imagine LaDon locked up. We can finally rest easy. And then the president of the United States is like, actually, nah, LaDon, well, he not innocent, but I don't care. And now he's coming home. That's got to be what it feels like for some of these people. There were plenty of people, don't get me wrong, there were plenty people that were up there, did January 6th. They felt like the election had been stolen. They were sure that they had proof. They wanted to hang the vice president. They came in there with all the smoke, ready for all the juice. And then they get to go home, too. This has to have been a wild experience if you are a J6er, because you were there. Remember when they pooped on the desk? They let them leave that day. They pooped on the desk that day, and then they were like, get out of here. And they were like, you right. And then they left. And they were very willing to be on camera. There were people interviewing each other about what they were doing. It's like, hey, Patriot, what are you doing? Oh, I'm tearing up Nancy Pelosi's office right now in protest of the election being stolen. This is me, James Atwood. I just made up a name, but they were saying their full names. They were saying their full names, and there was one dude that I'm pretty sure was trolling because he was literally getting people to say their address, and that felt insane. Like, I've never had to say my address out loud to somebody I didn't know. And then police come, and they're like, hey, get out of here. And then people left, and you saw them leave. You saw them leave different parts of the rotunda, everything, with smirks on their faces. And then over the course of 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, started picking them up left and right. People started, hey, he was there. Oh, they're posting about it. It was on their social that they were there and what they did, right? Them pepper spraying, them throwing stuff at police, all that stuff. And then they start getting arrested. And they're like, what? But I thought, how could this be? How? And then they were sitting in jail. And then, before Trump left, they were like, surely he'll pardon us. And he was like, I'll see y'all in a bit. You know? Because there was a lot of like misunderstandings about who we could pardon and who we couldn't, and when people were charged and all this stuff like that. And then he becomes president again. This dude is now president again. And then he pardons them. And woof. Normally, I'm used to seeing a lot of people get out of jail through like innocence projects and stuff like that. People who did not do something. And then they're like, I never thought anyone would believe me. I thought I was going to sit in jail, and now I'm free. And they're nothing but grateful. They get out, they're hugging their families, they're crying and stuff. And that has not been the case with the J6. Everybody that got let out is very angry. They're so angry, and a lot of them have already tweeted, I'm buying a gun. And it's like, why would you tell anybody that? You were already caught on camera doing the thing, and now you're like, and now that I'm out, I've got a gun. Okay, LaDon. Like, it's crazy too, because this dude signed that an executive order for Doge, for the Department of Government Efficiency, that Elon is supposed to run. Which Elon's also had a week. Because Elon was supposed to run Doge, and he was supposed to really like get in there of what the budgets were, of who everyone was and everything, and he was going to reshape government in the image that he saw best fit him, his businesses, and his worldview, right? And then, I don't know how he did it, but he already like did something that Trump didn't like.
Of course he did.
Like, it happened quickly, because this dude was supposed to have an office that was near the Oval Office, right? And then one of Trump's, I think a cabinet member but maybe it's an aide. I can't remember who it was, but they told Elon outright. They were like, hey, you're not going to be around here. And in fact, you're not going to talk to the president. You're going to talk to me. Which is wild. Now, don't get me wrong. That person is also like a huge MAGA Trump Republican. But still, the fact that they felt the need to wedge themselves between Trump and Elon already speaks volumes. You know, because Elon, you know, was standing behind the presidential seal. And this is how you know that a lot of people are truly out of their minds. This dude did a Nazi salute that we then debated if it was a Nazi salute for like every day after, including the day of. And I don't know if you should be allowed to talk if you can't believe your eyes. Do you know what I mean? Like, there are people that were like, that was not a Nazi salute. He was throwing his heart out to the crowd. I'm like, well, he has a weird pitch. You know what I mean? I always throw my heart like this. And he did it twice to make sure you knew what it was, which is pretty wild. One thing that I like about Elon, which is not many things, is that he always manages to quickly make the people that take up for him look super stupid. Like, really dumb. Because so many people had so many different things. They came to his defense. It was several things at once. It was like, guys, no, that was not a Nazi salute, okay? It was a Roman salute. Oh my God. I'm like, all right, you ever split a hair before? Apparently you don't know what that looks like. No, it wasn't a Roman salute. He has Asperger's. I know a lot of people with Asperger's. I know a lot of people that are on the spectrum. I know a lot of people with, you know, different types of autism on different parts of the spectrum. And when I've hung out with them, and they've needed to point, or they want to show me affection, you know what they never did? Anything that looked like that. It's pretty crazy. It's like 100% fundamentally insane that people within, I don't know. Maybe there's some law I don't know about where if you are a news publication and you say someone did a Nazi salute and they didn't actually do a Nazi salute, that they'll like sue you into oblivion and you just won't exist anymore. But I feel like when you see it, you can say it. And the fact that so many notable publications were like, he did a thing that appeared to be, none of us have ever got the leeway that Elon got that day. If there was a video of me stealing out of a store, the headline would not read, Josh Johnson is holding something that appears to not be his in the form of a Best Buy electronic. You see how that works? You see how when you see something, you can say exactly what it is and the world won't shatter? I do think genuinely that if people call out what they saw, they might feel the need to do something about it. So rather than do any of that, let's sidestep it and just be like, look, maybe it would, but I don't know. Who knows? These do. Like, in what world do you not know? You saw it. And you know how you know you saw it? Because Nazis saw it. And you know who was excited about it? Was Nazis. They were very excited. And if they think they saw it, then what are you doing now? If they're very sure of what it was, what do you look like being so unsure? No, it was a Roman salute. No, he has Asperger's. No, he's just awkward and he gets excited. I'm awkward. I got a lot of problems. And you know what I've never done? Never. But truly, that's like that's a thing that I watch happen. And then so many people are like, guys, he's anything but a Nazi. He's not a Nazi. He loves Jewish people. And then we pointed to tweets where people showed whole sick conspiracy theories against Jewish people and anti-Semitic rhetoric. And then he would comment under it, that's true. But somehow he's not a Nazi. And then, for everyone who was still like on the fence or still hardcore, pro Elon, he's not a Nazi, y'all. He went ahead and did y'all a huge favor. He attended an AFD rally via satellite in Germany and told them, hey, you gotta let go of the past, y'all. We can't keep feeling bad about stuff that happens. The AFD, by the way, which is the most Naziest of the Nazi. He's like, no, you gotta be proud of your Germanness. These are all dog whistles, but you can hear it. You know, I hear you, dog. And then Trump signed this executive order that rolled back protections and acknowledgement of trans people, all right? And well, I didn't do it. And the thing is, you know, if there's anything that I wish Trump would ban, that had anything to do with gender, it would be gender reveals. They're getting genuinely dangerous. I watched a gender reveal where they had, because they're creative in the worst ways. Because then I watched this gender reveal where they had a blue plane and a pink plane, right? And both planes were flying at the couple, right? And then I guess whichever plane, I don't really know how it was supposed to work because both planes flying, so I don't know how we're gonna figure out what the baby is. You know what I mean? So then the pink plane veered off to the right, and the blue plane kept straight. So I guess that meant it was a boy because they started celebrating, right? But they started celebrating without moving, and the plane was still coming at them. And so it's not a big plane, but it's a little bigger than a toy plane, and it hit the husband in the face and chopped his head all up. Like he's alive, he's fine, but you could tell it hit him hard, and he trying to still celebrate, but he's clearly concussed. He's 100% concussed, just oh. Didn't even put a hand out or anything. I don't know who is like winning with this thing. You know, maybe if you're a tech billionaire, you're doing very well because he's going to push through to like lower regulations so that you can make things as fast as possible, even if those things need some guardrails because they might be potentially dangerous, whatever, you know. And if you really hate other people, then yes, you're having a good week. But for Americans, like specifically for us, I don't know what these things do. You know? Like I don't know what rolling back what few protections there were for trans people does for me. I thought the election was about safety and eggs. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was like everyone was talking about eggs a lot. Like everybody was like really hitting those eggs. I didn't know eggs were everybody's favorite food. Like eggs. People weren't even talking about bread. They were talking specifically about eggs. I think a lot of people went to like Kroger or Walmart or something on the wrong day and they were like, hell no, eggs is my number one issue. I'm a one issue voter and eggs is that vote. And so I don't know what any of this has to do with eggs, but it doesn't seem like we're getting there. You know? Even the language of the executive order was weird. The language of the executive order was like, you have to treat and address people as the sex that they were assigned at conception, which is not how That's not how anything works. If it's conception, dude, if it's conception, when it happens, then there's no men. There would be no dudes. This is not a plan. Like, this is terrifying. Don't be wrong. There are plenty of people who are scared, and there are plenty of people who don't know what to do next. And one thing I really want people to stop doing, and I'm not anybody's boss. You can do what you want. You can probably, whatever, screw me. But we're not like cooked. Don't do that thing. Don't give up immediately. Like there's a sort of rhetoric and an idea that like, oh, we're finished and this is it, and like there's nothing that can be done. It's like guys, no. But then you see people devastated, giving up very quickly. Oh man, we're ruined. We're so cooked. It's like I mean, if you believe that, then we are. Like if you earnestly believe that, then yes, absolutely. That's what cooked looks like, because cooked is done, and you like your steak raw. So, yeah, I mean, like day one we're cooked. That's also, that kind of made me furious. I'm not gonna lie. Not even like an armed resistance attacking people or something like that. Oh, we're cooked. It's like, you saw him with his pen. Like, I'm saying genuinely, people, please, if you feel anything, then you should openly speak it. One of the reasons that these things spread, why negativity spreads, why like the general pessimism towards movements spread, is because people let their doubt reign over everything, all of their discussion, all of their thinking. It's like, I'm not saying that I know exactly what to do about executive orders that he passed that I don't agree with. Those things are for the courts to hopefully fight, But I will say, for every person that I know that was affected by an executive order that he has, that I know is scared, I talk to that person. And I tell them, hey, I'm at least here. Now, I'm not the president, but I'm here for you, locally, right? That's how you build community. And that's how you keep people from being afraid. Because people don't know. They genuinely don't know that there are people that are willing to back them up. They have no idea, right? He signed an executive order that was supposed to take away birthright citizenship for people who were not already citizens, and to stop any confusion, it was going to be birthright citizenship starting now, right? Because if it was for all time, then like half of his cabinet, they wouldn't even know where to take them, put them. And then he started work on this thing that he'd been promising. And it was a thing that people didn't really think he was going to do, of like mass deportations. And so far, these are the numbers so far as I know them. Once again, I'm willing to be like fact checked. If I'm wrong. But this is from what I've read and from what I know, this is basically what has happened. They did some ICE raids in places like Chicago, and there were some in Texas too, Arizona, and like plenty of like sanctuary cities. That's ones that they were like targeting initially. I'm not sure why, because you would think in the red states that vote for this thing, they would want it first. Like, that just seems like it's making nobody happy. And they rounded up some people, and they went ahead and took off for Mexico. And so then they take off for Mexico. We did it. We raided. We got some people. Gonna drop them off at Mexico because these are Mexican illegal immigrants, right? And so then FAA comes on and they're like, hey, don't land here. And I do think that nobody really thought that part through. I don't think people really thought. And then even when they let them land, they were like, don't let them off the plane. Just turn around. And they were like, all right, okay. We will be back though. We'll be back with more, right? Because I should be clear here that apparently, from what I've read, just deporting these 80 people cost the taxpayer $700,000. So I do not know how we're gonna save any money. I don't know how this plan is gonna work. 80. There's supposedly 11 million undocumented immigrants in the US, right? 11 million, so 3.3% of the population, right? And we started with 80. If I owed somebody $11 million, and I told them, hey, I ain't got all that right now, but I do have this 80, I'm getting my ass beat. That's crazy. 80 and $700,000. I'm not in government. I'm not acting like I know how to fix a situation. I'm not acting like I know what to do about where we're at. But I will say this. If I know I got to spend $700,000 to get 80, this is just me. This is just me. This is just me. I'm not telling anybody else to do it. This is just me. This is what I would do if it were me and I knew $700,000 for 80. I would just tell those 80 people, listen, I'm gonna break you off some. Start a new life somewhere else. You get 1/80th of 700,000, right? And come back in like 6 months, all right? Because that's one thing that you will not hear. As this whole thing builds out, you will not hear about people coming over illegally. They're gonna act like it's not happening. They're gonna act like it's all going one way. They're denying everything. They're denying all of these legal ways to become a citizen, legal ways to gain citizenship, legal ways to get a card or just to be able to work in the US. They canceled a lot of appointments for people who were doing the right thing, right? And so my thing is just use your logic and pay attention to what is not being said over the next few months to several years, because they're not gonna wanna admit that these people are coming in still, even while they're making these efforts, because it will make them look even more desperate, even less efficient, you know? Because they told us before the election all of these incredible stories about how migrants were coming in. They were like, and look, I don't even know how they're doing it, but in Honduras and Guatemala, they're disassembling themselves, mailing themselves here, and then reassembling themselves, and then walking around amongst us. But now that they've supposedly shut down the border, they want us to believe that all of these legal ways of entering have also just stopped. And that's not true. You're fighting a losing battle if it takes you $700,000 to send 80 people somewhere that says, hey, we're not, you know what I mean? That's one of the craziest things too. Is a deeply, deeply ironic thing that they did all this, sent the people over, and then the other countries were like, hey, those are American immigrants. No, that's crazy. No, and I think a lot of it. I think a lot of the tactics that have been taken and some of the logic that's been used on the news and everything is just is genuinely fear based. It's to rile you up. It's to make you feel afraid and everything. And even in the executive orders, 100 executive orders or so, and so many of them don't really say anything. They don't really do anything. You just sort of make a show of signing it. Because I'll be honest with you, I saw some of the raids that were taking place and some of the statements that people made and how they're taking things that were normally off the table, they're putting them back on so they can come in your church, they can come in your school. People are scared to go to places that felt safe and everything. And I will say I don't know exactly what to do. I'm not acting like I have any answers. I just don't know how possibly this is the road, this is the tack to take, People will say things like, oh, they don't pay any taxes. It's don't they eat? Then didn't they pay the sales tax? Didn't they pay? And by the way, this not paying taxes thing, they get paid under the table by Americans, by the way. There's no job that they have that an American doesn't give them. And pay them under the table in cash. And probably pay them a little less than minimum wage. Probably pay them in even numbers. So what money could you possibly stand to gain And I'm not saying the money doesn't exist, that it's not there, and that there shouldn't be a path to legal citizenship so that they can pay all the taxes that we all pay. I'm just saying that, like, are they each owing more than like $700,000 when you put 80 of them together? I don't know. Demure thing that's taken off. Why are y'all groaning? Oh my God. In case you don't know what it is, in case you haven't been alive for the past couple weeks, demure is this one TikTok. This one TikTok started this whole thing. It's not like a whole group of people. It's not like somebody super famous already said something. There's this one TikTok by this creator named Jules LeBron that was just sort of getting ready for work and said, you know, look at how I'm dressed. Very demure, very mindful. And demure and mindful have like really taken off. They've really become this big, big thing. People are talking about how I'm demure, I'm mindful and everything. People have made all these response, TikToks do it and stuff. But basically, she was just saying like, you know, look at how I'm dressed, keeping it chill, a little bit low key and everything. And by and large, everything that I've seen that's come from it has been pretty positive. I know I'm not on the whole internet, but like everything that I've seen is nice, which is kind of cool because usually when it comes to like TikTok as a movement or like challenges or like anything popular, it's usually not as positive. You know, most TikTok challenges or trends are mostly like, hey, y'all, watch me punch my grandma on the back of the head. It's usually something that causes harm to, you know, you or someone else for everyone's entertainment. And we watch all the time. It's like, hey, y'all, watch me while I call in this bomb threat to the Vatican. You know, like there was one thing, I don't even know, it got so bad that they would talk about TikTok trends happening that I don't even think were happening, but they were believable because all the stuff that really was happening. Like, I'm pretty sure there was one where maybe I'm falling for like a trick, but I'm pretty sure there was one TikTok trend where people just kept blowing up the urinals at the boys' bathrooms in their high schools. And I was like, man, maybe they really are lost as a generation. You know what I mean? So then you see something like demure, and it really kills the whole, you know, the sort of generational gaps that we have. It's hard to keep pushing them away when they're being all nice and stuff. No, you see these young Gen Alpha, Gen Z just being sweet. You almost don't know how to react. You know what I mean? It starts raining. Maybe you're a boomer, and then out of nowhere, you know, this young person comes up being very demure. Pops an umbrella right over your rainy head. You just standing there like, Fox News did not prepare me for this. I don't know what to do. Thank you, I guess. This is weird. You sure you don't want to punch me in the back of the head and film it or something? Like, no, it's just nice to see like a trend that's at least like feeling mildly positive as it spreads, you know? Because a lot of them start positive and then quickly turn. And I haven't seen this one turn yet, because the whole definition of demure is like modest, shy, you know, mindfulness, obviously self-explanatory, being mindful and stuff. Because the other TikToks I've seen Jules make have also fascinated me, because, you know, she'll do little stuff like she brought donuts to the hotel staff that took care of her at the end of her stay. And she was like, this is being demure. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess we redefining it. I had no idea. I thought, that's cool. I'm saying because I'm happy about it, you know? And I think that's really awesome. Because for a long time, I didn't know if like a good trend could catch on. You know, we like deep down, whether you like it because you like it or you like it because you love to hate it, we like watching the bad stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like like Jackass would have never been a franchise if we didn't love the idea of a guy just standing there and then his friend running behind him and kicking him in the balls. Like, that's... You know, we had Jackass when we were little, and that just spawned into like a different now everybody can do Jackass. Everybody was doing Jackass the whole time, by the way. It's just when we filmed it, it sort of just sat at home. Like, they just became home movies. There wasn't an internet to push it out to the rest of the world with, you know? And so, I don't know. I mean, I hope for those that enjoy it, it continues. I hope it doesn't, you know, morph into a different thing, because I feel like the internet's very good at that. You know, the internet's very good at, like, taking something, because it's so decentralized, like taking something that starts out very good and then morphing it to a place where, you know, maybe 5 years from now, there's just a kid that runs up and punches his grandma in the back of the head and goes, "Demure!" Nah, but I hope it doesn't happen. I took an improv class when I lived in Chicago with a kid who was Buddhist, right? And he was Buddhist in a way that was very sincere. He wasn't like that. You know how sometimes when you go off to college or something and you meet someone who's like hardcore Buddhist, but they're like a white dude with dreads that's always trying to bang, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm like, no, I don't know if you following really. I think that you just wear the beads. I think you're disingenuous. You're just trying to use it to lower some walls, you know what I mean? How could I be bad? I summered into bed. You know what I mean? Kind of has those vibes. But my friend who I met is the person that truly fascinated me, because he was someone who had a lot of joy, and a sincere joy. Not like, you know how there are people that you meet sometimes that are full of joy, but you can tell the joy is because everything's going right now. It's very circumstantial joy, right? It's like lottery winning joy, where it's like, guys, of course. He had a nice joy that wasn't swayed one way or the other by like little things happening, you know? Because the circumstantial joy I'm talking about, it gets knocked over with a feather, right? That same person that's so joyful one day, you see them the next day, they're like, "Get out of my way!" Like, it's... And that's also normal. That's part of being human, right? Like, it's not normal to be happy all the time. If someone is, watch them. Do you know what I mean? Like, if somebody's happy all the time, they need to be on a list. They're hiding something, right? But he had a very, very sweet and sincere joy that was calm, kind of quiet, a little bit to himself, but happy to talk to anybody, happy to engage with anybody and everything. And I think that because of who he was as a person, it sort of fascinated me what his philosophy was for life, because he didn't teach Buddhism, and he didn't think of Buddhism as a religion. He thought it more as a sort of philosophy, right? It was his answer to the psychology of his mind. And we were talking one day, because I was just sort of asking him how he came to it and everything, because he was white. And regular haircut though, like regular haircut. Like, but you know, we were just chatting, and he was explaining, at least to the best of his understanding, the four noble truths to me, right? Because the first noble truth is that there is suffering in the world. And that's an undeniable thing, you know? We all suffer in different ways for different amounts of time, you know? Some suffering is physical. Like when you wake up in the night and you're thirsty. And you swear you know you're home. But you're walking in the dark because you don't want to wake yourself up too much with the light. And you don't sleep with shoes on. So your feet, your toes are at their most vulnerable. You get up and you're walking around, and in the kitchen. You get a little bit of that fridge light. You almost squint a little bit. That's too much. You grab your water. You pour it in your glass. Take some sips. And now you got to make your way back. Halfway tired, in the dark, right? And as you're walking, maybe you're a parent. And maybe even though you know this home like the back of your hand, you don't know that there's a Lego waiting. There's a Lego waiting to be stepped on, right? There's a skateboard near some steps waiting to take you out. To put you on your ass, right? Or maybe you don't have kids. Maybe you're a bachelor. Maybe you're just living on your own as a single person, but you make your way back. And for some reason, tonight, there's just a little bit of extra width to that bed frame. And so you get close to the bed and you get ready to hop in and then... and so you suffer. No. But a lot of suffering isn't physical. A lot of suffering, genuinely is coming from a mental place. You either suffer in what you think is going to be the future, or you suffer over the past as it happened. Those things that happen that are very, very embarrassing. Maybe you hold on to a mistake that you made too tight. In your mind's eye, it's the only thing that you can focus on. And most of the time, you can shut it out. It's probably whatever you're thinking about right now. But most of the day, you're pretty good at shutting it out. But then you have a quiet moment, like in the shower. And while you're in the shower, your brain just goes, remember that time? You remember that time that everybody was like, wouldn't it be fun if we jumped in the pool, and then you just jumped in the pool, but then the other person was like, oh, I was never going to jump in the pool. So then you were just out here in the pool by yourself, and you can't swim. So then you were hoping that everybody jumping in would just mean that everyone floated a little bit higher or something. And so now you're like fighting to get to the top of the water, and then people, you can hear them be like, is he drowning? Like that. It was like a question, because you flailing so hard that everyone's like, is he drowning? And then you're like, what? These are supposed to be my friends. Why aren't they jumping in the water and help me? Do we not want to jump in the water so bad? We just want to talk about jumping in the water that no one's going to come save me right now. And so you're flailing, and then finally you just hear somebody at the party, one of your friends say, yo, stand up. And then you realize you were on the shallow end of the pool. So there's a suffering. And then, there's a suffering for the things that you think are going to happen in the future, right? Things that haven't even happened yet. Usually, it's us, because of our imagination. We're one of the only, look, this is us saying it, but as far as scientists know, we are one of the only species that has real imagination in that way. So we're some of the only things on planet Earth suffering in that particular way, right? Most things are living in the moment, right? But we're the only ones putting things onto the future that haven't even happened yet. Like, let's say you're in a relationship. And you love this person, but y'all fight from time to time. And you fight, but you love each other, and maybe it's been a long time. You've been together for a long time, so you know them. You know them deeply. You know them in a fundamental way where no one else knows them, right? So then sometimes when something happens, you can tell we're probably going to have a fight. We're probably going to have a fight because I know them, and I know what happened, and I know how they react to things. I know how I react to things, so we're probably going to have an argument, right? So then maybe you're driving home, maybe you're taking the train, maybe you're on the bus, but wherever you are, because you know there's about to be a fight, you decide to have the first fight. The first fight is in your head because you're practicing, right? Like... The first fight is you just sort of shadow boxing, right? You do it too. That's not my fault, right? Like you just... And so the first fight, maybe things don't go so well. Maybe the first fight, because you have to imagine the whole thing, you imagine them reacting a little harsher than they might even react. Because you don't know, because you haven't been there yet. It's in the future. It hasn't happened. You have to make this thing up. But now you're suffering because you're imagining that they said something to you that was a bit too far. And they always do this. And I can't stand when you do this, right? You always, in my head, take things too far before I have the conversation with you, right? And so you get home and you already mad. You already pissed off because in your mind, you lost the first fight, right? So now when we have the first fight, I'm remembering the first fight. So now I got to get my get back from losing that first fight because they had such good logic in my head when I was fighting them before that I came ready. I'm already ready to plug up all the holes in my own argument, right? And so then, you start fighting, and then you start the fight by being like, why are you yelling? And then you realize you're yelling, and you're like, why am I yelling right now? And it's because you had a fight already. You had suffering you didn't even need to have. There was no reason, right? And then there's the second noble truth. The second noble truth is that there is a cause to the suffering. People, we don't just have to suffer endlessly for no reason, right? There is a cause. This is where the concept of karma comes from and everything. Because if you understand the suffering and you understand the cause, you can end it, right? It can be over, Like I have a friend who I love very much. And he has a lot of love to give. But he keeps, because he can't understand the cause, he keeps getting his heart broken. Because he keeps... Okay. He keeps getting his heart broken because he keeps trying... It's got to sound however it sounds, but... He keeps trying to save young ladies who do not like him, but do enjoy dinner, right? Do you know what I mean? Like at a certain amount of dates, I'm like, yeah, dog, I think if she liked you, she would call you sometimes. Because he's a lover, but it's I don't know if he's thinking about why he keeps feeling this way. And if it keeps happening, if the same thing keeps happening with different people who don't know each other, maybe there's a cause. And maybe the cause is something you're doing. Maybe the suffering can end. Maybe. Or maybe he's just real good at paying for dinner. I have no idea, but it seems like when I talk to him, hey, it doesn't have to be like this, right? And then there's a third noble truth. Third noble truth is that you can end the suffering. It can't, it doesn't have to go forever, right? The second one is that there's a cause, and the third one is that there will be an end, right? It doesn't have to go on forever. You can release yourself out of this sort of cycle. And then the fourth one is that there's a path. There's a path for you, a way to end the suffering, right? Which I think is great. I think that there's an answer at the end. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of religions out there that just tell you, it's pretty bad. And it will get worse. There are some Buddhist monks, right? There's some Buddhist monks in Thailand. And they're in a specific region, so I don't want you to think this is all of the Buddhist monks. But these particular Buddhist monks in this particular region of Thailand keep getting into trouble for not being very good monks. Because when you think of a monk, it's unfair, but you think of a monk the same way you think of a nun. You think of someone who has dedicated their entire life, their finances, their physical self, their spiritual well-being to the cause of whatever religion or philosophy that they've taken up, right? And that doesn't make them perfect, but it does make them seem like someone who is going to be holy or be grounded, whatever the thing is, right? And these monks are pretty rock and roll. These monks are going ham, okay? These monks are having such wild scandals. Like there was one temple, right, where all the monks in that temple got busted by the police for doing meth, right? And it's hard to conceptualize a methy monk, right? Because you usually think of them as calm and still, but you can't be on meth. You know, I've never seen someone do meth and then calm down, right? That's not part of it, you know? I can only imagine what that one monk who did the meth first must have told the others. You know, does a little meth and it's like, y'all, if we do this, we ain't gotta do all that sitting. Like this is about to hit, okay? You know? It was another scandal where there were some monks who basically, I say got in trouble, I think they got arrested for stealing millions of dollars in donations from people who were basically donating to, I guess, the monastery, but just generally, the same way you donate to like any church or anything like that. And that one baffled me because I thought one of the whole principles of Buddhism was like, guys, I don't need anything. Like it's me trying to better myself, trying to get better, trying to get to the next level and everything. So to give the monks millions of dollars is asking for trouble. Like, you know what I mean? To give the monks a rapper level of money and then not expect them to live that rapper lifestyle feels like an unnecessary temptation, okay? You know, like I'm pretty low key, but if you gave me around $8 million, I might go a little wild for a day or two. You know what I mean? And it's tough. It's tough when you're a monk and then you try balling out because you in the same clothes. Do you know what I mean? Like when you roll up to a strip club, everybody know you're not supposed to be there. Like you throwing it up and making it rain, and then everybody's like, where's it even coming from? Does the robe have pockets? You know? There have even been some monks that got in trouble for straight up violence, right? Which is terrible and terrifying. But I will say, as a monk, if somebody messing with you, you do kind of have the element of surprise. Because they're sure nothing's gonna happen, right? Like you just poking a monk and poking a monk and poking a monk, and then they just hit you with that bladdow. You know? And I guess it's just wild that for such I'll call it a religion or a lifestyle just for the sake of the argument, but like for such a calm, peaceful, to yourself religion of bringing yourself to the best level that you can, building an understanding of yourself and the people around you, and trying to spread good in the world. It's wild to me that this section of Buddhist monks in Thailand, all they really need is Jules LeBron to teach them how to be demure, to teach them how to be mindful. You know what I mean? You imagine that? You imagine this. There's a monk that's just throwing out money at the strip club and everything, and then Jules is like, not demure, not mindful.